Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the Faith Building Podcast with your truly amazing hosts,
Vladi Kuna and
Norman Gräter. It's time to be greater for all of us, and as we already touched last time, today we want to speak about the two most important words that you will ever know and ever use, and it's I am. And to give you a little insight in our understanding of I am, we want to take you by the hand and show you a little bit our world and how we understand it and how, at least in my mind, I think everything came along. And if we go to the Bible for a moment, it said that God created Adam, the first man, after his own picture. And he used dust and then breathed the breath of life into him. And this seems to be, okay, he used the dirt from the earth. This is basically nothing, and it has nothing to do with God himself. But how about we go one step further back and ask, so who created the earth? And we imagine also God. God created everything. And we should go one step further back and say, so how did he create everything? Because let's imagine God or the universe is a big energy field. And this big energy field, like a big pillow, is traveling through the universes and galaxies. And its only mission is to create things. So this big pillow is flying through the galaxies and universes and creating planets and Milky Ways and stuff like that. And at one point realizing, I could create much more if the pillow would not be a pillow, but smaller pieces that could fly in all parts of the galaxies and create something and learn something and then report back to the big pillow. And that's what, in my mind, happened. This big energy field got split into 1 trillion little pieces, and you are one of those pieces. And now you might say, so how does this relate to Adam and the dirt and everything? If God, the big pillow, the energy field, created, let's say, the earth, it could create the earth only out of things that this energy field has, right? You can only create a recipe out of the ingredients that you have in your fridge. Which means if the energy field has only energy field, then the energy field created the earth out of the energy field. And if Adam got created out of the earth, it's created out of the same energy field because the dirt, the flowers, the rocks, everything is out of this energy field. And this means that the basic setup is, and we're going back to Neil Donald Walsh and his beautiful picture with the ocean and the waves, that God is the ocean. And the ocean only exists if you have waves on it. If you take all the waves away, the ocean is gone. But this does not mean that a single wave is the whole ocean. No, it's just a little part of it. And if you would give the ocean a voice, then the ocean would say, my little wave, if you want to flip, jump, be flat, or make a 20-meter monster wave, I actually don't care. I just want you to have fun. And everything that's in the ocean, the dolphins, the whales, the little fishes, the flowers, everything is in the whole ocean. So the question is not, is there a big whale or a dolphin available for me? The question is just, when does it swim through my wave? Which means whatever you want to have in your life, whatever you want to be, it already exists in the big ocean of the universe or God. The question is not if you can have the money, if you can have the health, if you can have the spouse. Because like with the fishes, they are already in the ocean. They just currently swim through other waves. The money that you want to have tomorrow is today owned by another person. The spouse that you want to date tomorrow is already born on this planet. The house you want to get is already existing in the raw materials. So can we change and realize that the power is not on the outside where we thought it is, but the real and true power is on the inside by stating the words, I am, because as Vladi pointed out last time already beautifully, if you state I am, this is not that you say I feel a little bit sick today. Because a feeling you can change. We learned that before. A thought triggers an emotion, which is a feeling. The feeling triggers the action creates a result. So if you say I feel a little bit disturbed, sick, unwell today, you can change that by changing your focus. There the focus is again. And in the moment you state I am, you really predict and say everything that I am is dot dot dot, whatever you put behind I am. And so many people put very, very unsmart things behind that. I'm sick, I'm fat, I'm lazy, I'm a diabetic, I'm this, I'm that. And by stating that everything, and in the name of the Lord, the highest power, the universe, God, you state that you are it. And again, it's the law of attraction. If you state that I am sick, then the reflection that has to come back from you from the big ocean is you will get more sickness. Not because the ocean hates you, not because the universe or God hates you, just because of the fact you state, I am it. And then the law of attraction has to deliver what you think about yourself, what we spoke about in the two previous podcasts about the self-image and everything. And let's hear what Vladi has to say about the I am and how everything came along.
I love what you were talking about. I made notes. This is why I laugh. As Norman is talking about I am, it's the oneness. So it's what we talked about in our last episode. It's the fourth level of consciousness. But as I am is actually a knowing frequency. So think that everything has a frequencies in our life. And obviously we want to, the higher we rise, well, the higher the consciousness we have, the higher frequency we rise because our vibration rise. And I love what Norman was talking about the sea, because I mean, it is really brilliant. When you say I'm tired, oh, I'm just so busy. It becomes a way of life. So you will actually find out that you don't have enough time to do certain things. And think about this. You look at some of the people and you say, they can do more in one day than I do in 1 week. Now, it's not to compare yourself that you should do more to tick list. It's actually the opposite. If you're calm and you really aware of what you can do, you actually produce more because you are more effective, you are more organized, you're calmer, you actually relaxed and enjoy yourself more. And it really closely goes back to 2 or 3 episodes we talk about auto-suggestion. It's when you're auto-suggesting to yourself what you are. The statements, I am, Norman pointed out the Bible. I look across my computer and I can see on a mirror, I've got the 2 massive signs, and one says I'm gratitude and the other one says I'm prosperity. I've made this probably a couple of years ago, and you probably see me in my old recordings that I used to have the mirror behind me. But what somebody said to me, why didn't you put down I'm grateful? But why did you put I'm gratitude? And I go back to what Norman was talking about now, because I am the source. You're individual as waves, but if you make statements that are solid, it means you're already a source. I'm grateful means that as a human who's practicing the laws, I'm grateful. But for me, and this is just my personal opinion, is when I say I'm gratitude, I actually feel I am the gratitude, the generative, unconditional, deepest level of gratitude. Because remember, even gratitude has conditions and different frequencies. If Norman sends me a present and I will say, oh, thank you so much, like I'm so grateful for it. It's great and I really feel it, but we're grateful because something triggered it. So at that particular moment, it's not a full unconditional gratitude because, of course, I feel it with my heart, but it has been conditioned by something. But really an unconditional generative gratitude is for you to wake up in the morning and say, thank you for waking up and being alive another day. I have another day to live the life I love and I'm going to do the best I can. Another thing is to say, as I mentioned about eyes and beauty, it's not about, oh, I want to look better, but how the generative gratitude is, I have eyes that can see. I have hands that can move, and my legs take me everywhere, and maybe they're not as thin and as tall as I'd love them to be, but really generative gratitude goes to, I am grateful for my life. I love my body. I love every cell. And you thank your cells, 70 billion cells in your body, and you thank them every morning like, oh my God, guys, you're doing such an amazing job. I mean, let's ask ourselves, how many of us really do this? Think about deeper level of things rather than actually what appears. It's the appearance of things that is the outside world, not the inner world. So when you're the source, what Norman said, I laughed because I made the note saying everything already exists. So when he was talking about the God and a pillow, by the way, that was interesting, really brilliant. Now I was writing notes. I've never heard that analogy before. And it's really great because think about this. Everything you desire is already here. You're just not connected to it because you're not reached the frequency where it exists. And we often laugh with Norman because we almost like when you're connected to people and you study together, you know each other and you talk, it's almost that we say each other's sentences, or if I forget something. And I was saying that last time he would fill in the things I forgot to say. And then afterwards I would say like, that's amazing. But this is no coincidence, guys. This is when you're on a higher frequency on the consciousness, that power, how are their healers? They can connect to each other. You connected to each other. You can test this. You can open the picture. Obviously, you don't have to if you have it in your mind, it's better. And you think of a person, send them love, send them gratitude, think what you appreciate about them, praise them, and think about them. Think about them really consciously. That person's going to text you or call you, or somehow they're going to let you know. And it happened many times. We think of someone, or even you may be like, oh, I must text them. I must text them. Oh my God, I need to get in touch with them. And somehow you might get busy and don't, and then they text you. There is no coincidence how everything's connected. Everything is energy. And you're a magnet to what you vibrate. So if you have things in your life you don't like, you have to change the vibration. How? I am statements are actually one of the most powerful things I use as my discipline. I love it as well. And we very often, and I'll hand it to Norman with this, because we very often talk with Norman about sometimes making a statement when you're actually out of alignment is not going to give you better result because it actually activates the other end of the stick. And he can tell you more about that.
Yes, I can tell you much more about the stick. And one thought that crossed my mind, and I will add it before we talk more about the sticks or the two sides of the stick, is we spoke about in the first 2, 3 episodes about the voice in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And we came to the conclusion, and probably we did not go too deep and touched the question, so who are you? Are you your voice? And we realized, no, you're not the voice. The voice you hear in your mind is the voice of the conscious mind, the host, the moderator that moderates your world, whatever is happening. So who are you? And if you're in a victim consciousness, to go back to the last episode we recorded, if you're in the victim consciousness, you think I am my name. And then you can write your name on a piece of paper and ask, so those 4, 5, 6 letters, is this really you? And people will say, no, 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 of course I'm not those 6 letters. Okay, so you're not your name on the paper, so who are you? I'm a speaker. Okay, so you can write speaker down, we can continue with that. Then some people say, no, no, I am this, what I see in the mirror. But at one point, when the wooden box closes for the final curtain call, you will realize that your body will go back from where it came. It will become dust again, it will become part of the earth again, and it will be transformed into something new. That's the circle of life that we know from the Lion King. It's all connected, what Vladi just shared. If we realize that we are not the body, if we are not the name, if we are not the job, if we are not the circumstances, what's left? The voice in our mind? No, we realize we are not the voice. We are the one that listens to the voice, because a little reminder, if we would be the voice itself, the person that listens would already know what the voice that's talking will say, right? So while you listen to the voice, oh, why is it raining? You would already know what the voice is saying if the voice that speaks and the part that listens would be the same, let's call it person. Doesn't happen. You have no clue what the moderator, the host in your mind is telling in the next 5 seconds. So you're detached from the voice. This brings me personally to the conclusion that I am pure consciousness, looking through the eyes of Norman, of the body itself, and I'm the one that listens, that just pays attention. But that is not freaked out, because the part that's freaked out about something is the voice in my mind. And the voice in my mind triggers the thoughts trigger an emotion, triggers an action, and still I'm the silent something. I'm the silent consciousness. I'm the silent universal godlike soul, something that's not visible, at least not to us humans. And this brings me back to the I am. Can you say what I said in the last podcast? Everything is well. Why? Because I am here. Can you have a self-image? And again, not in an egoistic way, but in a connected spiritual way. That, and I put my sweater hoodie on purpose. It says the superstar. And again, I don't mean it that I'm the superstar and you're nothing. You are a superstar as well. The question is, are you aware that you're the superstar? And this brings us to the stick. Esther Hicks and so many spiritual teachers, and also Albert Einstein, talk about the duality. It's like a stick, it's like a pen. You have both sides. You have left and right. Or you turn it, you have up and down. You have light, dark, male, female, left eye, right eye, left hand, right hand. We can only realize what we like if there is duality. If there would be only sunshine 24 hours a day, we would not have the contrast of darkness or the contrast of rain versus sunshine. So the contrast is there to kind of give us a possibility and a choice, and to bring us closer to a point where we realize what we like or what we don't like. And it's again about focus. Do you focus on I am so sad because it's raining today? Or I am so happy that the flowers get some water? And I told this example to a friend earlier this week. And the friend replied and laughed on the voice message and said, you are something. The flowers get more water because it's raining. Because the friend was complaining about the rain. I said, it's always a point of perspective. There's no right, no wrong. Everything is relative. It's just two opposite things. And depending on my self-belief and my I am statements, I think that rain is good or rain is bad. If I'm a gardener, I might say rain is good. I save on water. If I want to go play soccer with the kids, I might say rain is bad because the clothes get wet. We might get sick. And the victim consciousness starts again to move, that you say, oh, I'm driven by things on the outside. And I'm sure that most of you that listen to the Faith Building podcast realize the density of the urge's energy field is changing, which means those orders that we send out to the universe are delivered much faster by now. And I'm just remembering a client of mine, and he wrote Anke and myself because basically it's a client of the two of us and he's in our community. We met him on a cruise and he was depressed. He wanted to go to a clinic and he was there for 35 days on the cruise with us, and he did not want to come, but his wife signed him up for the workshops and the keynotes we gave. And he came and he totally changed everything in 35 days. He canceled a meeting at the clinic. He changed his opening hours from his work. He changed his life. He changed everything. And as we know, he loves to play soccer and train little kids in soccer. And he's a huge Bayern Munich fan. So at one point we said, so why don't you picture that you train or are a coach for Bayern Munich? And it's me. This would be like a dream come true, but they are totally my heroes. But now the FC Bayern Munich campus opened, which means they have kind of soccer camps under the name of Bayern Munich, but done by different trainers. And he realized that, and we supported him by applying for it. And he made all the details ready and the opening letter and sent me the letter and said, "So what do you think?" And I said, "The letter is written by a fan." "Oh, I'm such a big fan since so many years and I would love to be part of it." I said, "Don't write it from a perspective of a fan. They don't need fans. They have enough fans. They want people that are aligned with their values, like the soccer club's values." So he changed it, and today he wrote, we had a call and they want to have me. It's just a matter of signing some more papers, and the payment is not so good, but it doesn't matter. He's coming closer to his dream. So he inherited over all those months working with us that he can be it. He had to inherit that I am good enough. I am professional enough. I am keen. I am willing to be on the payroll of Bayern Munich, even though his former self could not really grab the idea because it was so far away. And again, if we think about the ocean model of Neil Donald Walsh, there's nothing impossible in the ocean because everything that can swim is in the ocean. And if you want to make 20-meter waves or be flat, it doesn't actually matter. Nobody's judging you. You are the only one that judges you and says, "Oh, my neighbor wave is doing 20 meters and I'm just doing 30 centimeters. Oh, I should feel bad." The ocean does not feel bad. The 20-meter wave does not really care. And that's another important thing that came to my mind and just comes back, that when Vladi mentioned last time about the mentors and the teachers, that if a student becomes successful, she's really happy for him or for her. And I'm like her. I say, if my students passes by me and becomes more known, more paid, more famous, more whatever than me, I'm really happy. Because first of all, this stuff works. It's a proof. Second of all, that's what he or she deserves. And third, if I should become jealous, this means that I stopped growing. Because if the other person put so much time, where we spoke about 2 episodes ago or 3, about how much time do I put into something, if the other person put so much time into becoming whatever, famous, more known, more connected, more loving, and passes by me, it's not the other person's fault. So why should I be jealous about the other one or hold the other person down? Which means I'm totally in lack, and the only thing I do is I don't create new mentors. I create kind of a lemming that I want to keep down that is quite stupid. I'm happy to take his or her money, but I want to keep them down that they don't bother my success. Hello? If I stop growing, then everybody will pass by me, but it's never ever their fault. It's their determination that brings them forward. And the question is, do I still have it? Am I seeing me still half a step ahead of my students? Or am I always pushing forward in fear that they might pass by me? But this again does not speak for the connection of everybody is one, and we are driven by source and a channel and a vessel. It's more, again, driven by the victim consciousness. And the question is, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be?
I love what you're saying, because really the core of everything, guys, is I'm good enough. And it is the self-love. But what we do sometimes is, I was listening to something on YouTube, like how it rolls when I drive, and so I don't always refer to who it is, but one of my favorite person is actually Brené Brown, and I love her because of her showing the vulnerability. I think she's really amazing. But why? Because I connect to energy. I connect to realness. I connect to people who tell what they think. And I look at some of my videos, which I recorded 6 years ago when I started the mindset coaching, and sometimes I go like, "Oh, I said that," because it's okay. I was who I was then. I'm completely different person now. And probably I will hear this podcast in 5 years. Well, I hope I grow so much that I will go like, oh, we should have told them this differently. But the thing is, don't allow perfection to stop you. This was one of the things I had to work on, because it is I am is not really, it's the ego part who tells you you have to do more. This is, maybe we can touch upon it next time, because that's Norman's favorite subject. And I remember when we started studying together, he was always telling me like, it doesn't matter, like it's okay as long as we're just calm. And I was just like rushing through, and if I didn't do all the studies and stuff, I used to feel I didn't do enough. And he's really one of those who helped me to kind of align to thinking it's fine if I don't do less, because you can do actions. And this was purely through study of Neville Goddard. Is it Neville Goddard? I think so. In the stories, in the completion of the books, where we looked at who are you, and it really is like, why to rush through? That is not the oneness, and that's not the higher self. If we feel that we have to prove ourselves by showing something, it means that I am not good enough, is not solid. It is not the core, because we tell ourselves, it really goes down to shame and guilt. And I mentioned Brené Brown because she's really good at this topic. But what I like is that when we feel guilty about something, it's because we feel that we did something bad. But the shame, we don't like talking about, because when we fail, as we call it sometimes, that we fail, but it really is just, it didn't work out the way. We need to find a different way of getting to it. Failure is an opportunity to grow. Failure is a next step to success. And failing many, many, many times means that you're practicing that move, like Norma mentioned last time, the 1,000 times practice one move until you become really good at it. But really is that shame is almost like a block for us. It's like, what will other people feel or say about me? And this happens to successful people. There is not a level of people who don't have shame, because they have a different kind of point of view where you build your success. But really, how many people stay there? There's people who build incredible success, and then they feel almost, they disconnect because they feel shame. What will people think of me if they don't see me having 5 cars now? What will people think of me if I downgrade the house? I mean, why wouldn't you? Like all your children and grandchildren are gone. Do you really need to have a mansion? Now, if you want to, go for it. But if you actually feel challenged by it, that you only keeping the stuff because of the status you build, that is not the I am we're talking about. I am as a oneness consciousness has nothing to do that I am someone who drives better cars, so I'm better than you, because that does not make me any better. Just because I have better house and I can travel and I can do, does not make you better person. And in fact, the ego part is really fed up more. Do you travel because you would feel that, oh, all of your friends are doing lots of trips? Oh, you don't want to all. If you may be like, my parents don't like traveling so much, like my mom maybe. But my dad is like, if I don't ever go anywhere, I'm so happy. And he's fine with it. He accepted it. And I want to say this word, accepted. What are the statements you're making about yourself, or the statements you're making genuinely? Are you accepting them? Because if you accept them, you're becoming one with it. And if you keep saying, I can't do this, I don't have enough education, I don't have enough money, you don't need anything to follow your dream. Because when you are the core person aligned to yourself, you are truthful, and people will pick on your energies. You will find people who will help you. And people can equally recognize those who are saying the words and not really living by it. And it doesn't matter what you do in life, but just be happy with what you've got. This is where we have to start. It doesn't matter what I have, how I got there, because sometimes when you look at people like, I am this, I am rich. And somebody actually asked me this and saying, the statements you make, I am rich, what if I'm not? How do you feel? Am I lying to myself? It's not about other people. It's about you. If you would like to feel richness has many meanings. What does being rich mean to you? You have to find connections to I am and really focus on you and you only. What is it you would love? Not your wife, not your husband, not your kids, not your parents. You. What would you absolutely love to create in your life? You get one chance to come here and live. Okay, there are debatable subject of reincarnation. I'm not going there, but you've got this life and you either make most of it or you don't. But just think, and I'm going to finish because we're running a little over the time. At the end of your life, if you are coming to the end of the life today, because we never know how much time we have, are you seriously going to say, actually, I lived my life well? Or are those things that you're planning to change really soon to create better life because you may not have a time to change them? So really think from a point like, how would I love to live? And what can I do about it today? What is the one step I can take today towards living a happier life? If it's a change of job, if it's a growth, if it's a finding, like love life, whatever it is, what is that step you're going to take today to be happier? Because really that is the whole point of life. Being happy, surrounded by people who you find joy with, laughing about whatever it is. Whether we say something that may not be 100% and we find out 3 years later that it was something else, it doesn't matter, because do the best you can with what you've got now and just move forward. And I'll end with that.
Be happy, and never blame it on karma. As a last note from myself, I don't believe in karma anymore due to the fact that I listened to something beautiful from Neil Donald Walsh in one of the conversations with God, where he said, karma does not exist. So if something is wrong in your life, don't blame it on karma, that 5 lifetimes ago you might have messed up and this lifetime is karma. No, it's about the law of cause and effect. Whatever you put out, whatever your I am statements are, whatever you think in your heart about yourself and your relation in the world will determine what comes back. And if you are determined to say, I'm a good person, I have to suffer that another wave, another human being is happy. I think that's not your job, because the other wave is the other wave and they have their own life. Can you support them? Yes. Should you support them? Always, if you can. If this makes you unhappy and your life miserable, I think that's the wrong way. And then you put the law of cause and effect into practice, and the result is just the result. And some call it karma, but again, it's the victim consciousness to say, oh, I cannot do anything. It's karma hitting me. It's not my fault. It's the universe blaming me, God blaming me. No, nobody's blaming you. Everything is coming from your heart, and whatever comes back in your life is being sent out by your heart first. So make sure that your I am statements are good. I am a superstar, you are a superstar, and we love to see and hear you again in the next episode. Until then, bye bye.
Bye.